So this all started last night. It's one of those today I fucked up kinda moments. One of my friends is into hacking and shit and said he could easily hook up the onion links and whatnot to get me on there. He came over yesterday and set it all up. I'm no whiz at computers, so I can't give you the specifics or shit. Anyways, later that night I start the Tor tool and begin going at it. I find a few forums and began poking around. There was this neat little chill to being on the dark web, like slicking downstairs to play video games when you were young kind of feeling. There's all this shit going on in there. The drug deals were the easiest to find, weed and LSD everywhere. After a while of feeling my way around the dark web, I got into a gang site. I saw they were selling guns and one guy was trying to hire an assassin to kill someone. Honestly, I didn't think the dark web had that stuff, thought it was all a myth. Yes, the guns were cheap. I saw someone explain on Reddit once that if the guns are cheap it's likely because they weren't clean. Nice. At this point I'm a few hours into the dark web. I've seen some criminal shit and all that, but nothing you can't find on the strange parts of Reddit. Then all of a sudden I click on this one dude's username. I hadn't tried that yet. Well, that took me to the child porn forum. Really didn't see it coming. I mean, the shit I saw on there was, I almost puked. There was that moment when my stomach just sank. It was the kinda shit you'd see on CSI or SICE, but not censored and right in front of me. I noped out of there after my eye caught a glimpse of the first pic. I figured it'd stay on for a few more minutes and then delete this whole Tor thing. I really didn't wanna go back to the dark web. It's like walking through those haunted houses. Once and done kinda thing. My heart was racing. I was back on the assassination forum, just frozen in front of my screen. I finally got myself collected and was about to turn Tor off when I looked over at the bottom right of my screen. Someone had sent me a message. The message read, "Listen, you're clearly new here, learn how to protect yourself next time. It's clear you're here just to snoop. That's a bad idea on these forums, that makes you sus. Get out of here, kiddo. We know where you are." It fucking hit me like a Mack truck. I never rerouted my IP or set up the VPN, I just opened Tor and went at it. I was sweating like a goddamn hog. I called up my friend and told him what happened. He told me to unplug my shit and pray. I had been on child porn sites and assassination sites. What the actual fuck was I thinking getting on this site, thing, whatever the hell the dark web fucking is? So I unplugged my computer immediately. I also unplugged my router. My phone has 3G, but it'll be fine for one night. But that dude had said he knew where I was. I was on there for hours. Any one of those guys could have figured it out. The gangs, the assassins, the fucking pedos. I have no idea if anyone knew anything. It was midnight, and the stress and sweat made me fucking tired. I wanted to go back on the internet to rub one out and calm myself the fuck down, but 3G is too damn slow for porn. I say fuck it, and I just try and sleep. But for some fucking reason it was the noisiest night in existence. Not that it was actually noisy, but my ears heard everything. I could barely sleep. I have this old door at the front of my house that opens with the slightest wind. Here I am up at 2 in the morning just beginning to drift to sleep and then slam. The door opens and closes as loud as it can. I jolt up thinking it's them. I don't know which them, the police, the assassins, or the fucking Holy Spirit. I build up the courage to look out the window and it's just the door. I hate you fucking door, but I was actually quite happy it was just the fucking door. Every time that damn door does that, my brain goes from its rational self to believing in monsters in the closet all over again. It's funny the way the brain works. So cocky and sure of itself until fear tells it who is boss. And then the brain will believe anything. Well, now I'm really awake and the door keeps opening and closing, so I go and make a small sandwich. It's unhealthy as fuck, but who the hell cares? I'm stressed so bad and giving myself a headache, like a nail going right in through my eyeballs kind of pain. I go into the kitchen to get the peanut butter and I hear the rustling of leaves. I freak out again. I'm already on the edge, you know. I take a breath and think like a human for a second and look at my dog. Dogs are the best for exactly this kind of shit. She's sound asleep, knowing well it was just a branch that fell in the wind. Her calmness and snoring reminds me to go the fuck to sleep. I finish the sandwich and finally get some shut-eye. I woke up this morning feeling pretty good. A good sleep is great for forgetting all the stupid shit you do. The sun was that nice golden color and the trees were particularly green. Astrid was barking up a storm and needed to go out. I let her out and she was reminding me that I need to piss too. I get all my shit together for breakfast and I'm cleaning up the mess I made with that PB&J last night when I look out the window and see a cop car on the other side of the street. Not the normal cop car, the undercover one. That's it. They must have found me out. They know. Why the hell else would they be there? I couldn't see the cop, the windows were tinted. I was sure as hell that was an undercover cop. I've seen plenty of them. I decided there's nothing much else to do but eat breakfast and go to work, and just hope that cop is here for someone else. In the time it takes me to get ready in the morning, I figured, for some reason, the cop would be done investigating. I hoped it was the new family across the street. It seems they may be hosting a brothel, cars coming and going at all times of the night. I open the front door and the cop car is right where it was. I try not to look at it, I don't want to stir up any suspicion, you know. I walk by it trying to act all normal. I turn the corner, go up half a block and look quickly behind me. The cop car is still there. I go up a few more blocks. The cop car still hasn't moved. Finally, after what felt like a 2-hour-long walk, I make it to the train station. I was basically drenched in sweat. Wasn't even that hot of a day. I'm on the train and my friend texts me a site. He says if your email is compromised it'll tell you. I click on it and put in my email address. It doesn't ask for anything more, so I figure it's likely safe. You can also find it via Google, so I'm not paranoid and use it. It says oh nope, and my head is racing at this point and I mutter under my breath, what the fuck does pwned mean? At this point I'm in no fucking mood to figure shit out. I Google it. Apparently it means they know my email password. Oh great, oh fan-fucking-tastic. I immediately try and change my password, but of course the internet connection on the train is so shitty I can't change it. I get to work and the first thing I do is go on my laptop and change my password. Great. That's taken care of. Temporary relief. I feel better in knowing that I was compromised and fixed it before anyone did anything. I'm not sure what else they might know, so I'm probably going to need a new credit card. That reminds me, I cashed checks yesterday afternoon. I wanted to check they went through. I opened the app all la-dee-doo and the checks were cashed, but $200 went to Amazon.com about 30 minutes ago. I didn't fucking buy anything from Amazon while I was commuting. What the fuck? I race to my Gmail, right when one of my bosses comes over for small talk. In my head I'm like, not now dumbass, I don't have time to kiss your ass today. Finally dumbass leaves and I open my Gmail, and yup, there's an email from Amazon. I open it, hoping my card got compromised for something stupid. Tell me this, why the hell would someone buy $200 of a shovel, and cabar knife, paracord, canned food, and baby diapers. Yeah, baby diapers. The rest of it looks like an average Joe wanted to go hiking, except for the shovel, and baby diapers. Well, now I feel like I'm drowning, like air cannot get to my lungs. There's no blood, I've gone fucking cold. My brain feels like it's swelling and repeating the same line over and over again. What do I do now? So then I go and check the address. Maybe pedo guy changed it. Nope, it's my address. I call my dumbass boss on the phone. Oh hi Jack, I don't need the scans right hen. No Mr. Smith, I'm sick like a dog, I think I need to go home. He comes over to check on me and personally see me out, he says to get better. He's genuinely a nice guy, but goddamn stupid. I then proceed to race home like lightning. I get home at about 3 p.m. The cop car is gone. There are no packages on my front doorstep and I can hear Astrid barking. All seems to be okay as of now. Thank God, I feel genuine relief. For some reason I thought maybe the package was going to be delivered today, and that they were going to kill Astrid. Inside seems fine, nothing out of the ordinary until I get to my computer room. Then I notice the window is wide open, but the screen is down. Now here's the thing, even if I can't recall if I left the window open, I know for sure the screen was up. It's been like that for a while. Yet again temporary relief is cut off by a feeling of dread. I sit on my porch, no internet, no phone, scared out of my mind, watching the sunset and just listening. I live in the suburbs of a major city, there are lots of noises but the ear is damn good at knowing what to hear when you need it to, or at least I hope it is. I watched the sunset, all its brilliant colors, the yellows change to reds dancing on the clouds to be overcome by a deep purple, and then night falls and just the street lamps give light. My house is on the corner and the street lamp is blocked by a tree, so it doesn't help as much as you'd think. I go get Astrid to go outside one more time before bed, and as I'm inside I hear a bang. It clearly sounded like it was from the garage. Astrid starts barking something fierce. She's a husky and I've never heard her bark like this before. My gut tells me it's something bad. Always listen to your damn gut, my dad always said. So I go back inside and I'm asking all you computer whiz people for help. Have any of you made this kind of mistake? What the fuck do? I honestly can't even describe this feeling. I'm just fucking scared, guys. My friend fucking abandoned me and told me not to contact him, like fuck him. I have my flashlight with me and I'm about to go out and check the bang. Wish me luck. Okay guys, sorry I haven't updated this. It's been some crazy few days. The 3G internet takes a while to post, so I have to choose wisely when I post. Alright, let's start with what happened last night. So I go outside with the flashlight and Astrid and I hear rustling in the leaves. Astrid is on edge at this point, so she is barking at it wildly. I likely woke my neighborhood up, don't really care at this point. I get into the garage and thankfully no one is there. Part of me wondered if those horror movie things were true and someone would just be standing in my garage or some shit. Then I realized the blood on the floor. Little droplets and splashes led a path to a broken chair. The leg was snapped and there was a good deal of blood on the chair. I sent some pictures with the post. Hope it sends with this 3G bullshit. Astrid was smelling the blood. Good girl. Perhaps she can smell the guy and then we can catch him, or something along those lines. But nothing, she lifted her nose into the air and just did nothing. Great, my husky is as perceptive as a bunny rabbit. My heart was racing so fucking hard I actually had to take a breather. I just looked away from it all for 1 second. But my mind wouldn't stop racing. Even when I tried to calm down, it immediately went to the thought of how everything changed in 24 hours. Life takes unexpected turns, I knew that, but this. At this point I figured the police would understand. I had an intruder. It was time to call the cops. I never did anything with ill intentions, and now I was scared someone was trying to kill me. I kept Astrid close by, my ears were going wild. At one point a leaf fell and my neck swung around to watch a fucking leaf fall. I text my friend to question him about the legality of going on the dark web, just to be sure. Of course he is still not fucking responding. At this point I call 911 anyway and explain to them that I've had an intruder and that there is blood and so forth. The police come and I'm super fucking anxious, but I don't see how this could lead to questions about the dark web thing, so I just keep telling that to myself in my head. I swear to fucking God I knew I couldn't slip that out. Well, they come and see the blood and the cop is like, shitty intruder. I mean, I guess he was right, but still an intruder. Then his partner calls us over, and guess what he fucking found? A lens cap, for like a camera or something. It wasn't in the garage, it was just outside my house in the bushes. The one cop looks at me and is like, "Ya got a spy on your hands." Like, holy shit, what? So then I ask them to take samples of blood and do the testing to figure out who it was. The older cop looks at me and goes, "We're not forensics, and no one's died." I muttered under my breath, "Yet." The coppers then leave, having done nothing but point out the lens cap and tell me there's nothing they can do. They told me to get security cameras and wait for the intruder to come back. Security cameras sound nice and all, but I've seen on the dark web they had like a whole sharing site for that shit, and I can't hook anything up to the internet for now, so that's a no right there. I go back into my house and took some Tylenol. I just wanted my brain to stop screaming at me at this point. It was after all this I finally checked your posts. I saw one of you said to stop the package deliver. Fucking brilliant. How the fuck did I not think of that? It's amazing how I can't think straight with this stress. Like, oh, someone bought some packages. Perhaps cancel it, dumbass. Jesus, what's wrong with me? I did it immediately. The packages hadn't even shipped yet. Bless, I saved at least that part. Now to handle the fucking intruder. To make sure the dumbass door didn't scare the shit out of me tonight, I got a rubber band and tied it to the handle. Fuck you, stupid door, you ain't opening tonight. Tylenol wasn't doing shit, so I took some Advil, the nighttime one. I had no beer, so this is all I had. I finally fell asleep and made sure Astrid was right near me, just in case she smelled or heard anything. I woke up yesterday morning contemplating if I should go to work. I think one of you said to just take a sick day. That makes sense. The boss knew I didn't feel well yesterday, so he'd be inclined to believe me. I called him up and told him I got food poisoning and couldn't come in. His response was, "Don't worry Jack, get better. My name isn't even Jack." Jesus, how is he the boss? Well, anyways, now I was off. I was glad I didn't have to leave Astrid alone again. That stress was just too fucking much. For the first few hours in the morning everything was quiet, nothing was really going on. In fact, I quickly realized it sucked having no real internet. Everything took too long to load. I started playing some video games, but my ears didn't like it. They wanted to hear it all. So here I am playing some racing game on mute and the doorbell rings. Well, the hairs on my back stand up. Astrid starts barking and going wild and I just sit the fucking frozen. This frozen thing has been happening too fucking often lately. I was waiting for the doorbell to go off again. I don't have a peephole or anything, so I just waited. Eventually, I heard the distinct sound of the UPS truck starting up and driving away. Honestly, that was the best possible sound I could have heard at that point. Now usually when I hear that noise I jump up like a dog thinking he's gonna get a treat as my mind tries to remember what Amazon package I ordered. Well, this shit must be Pavlovian or something because I had the same reaction. Half the way to the door my brain turns on and reminds me, I had no Amazon orders, and the weird ones were cancelled. I honestly didn't know what to expect, but even what I did expect was nowhere near as insane as to what actually arrived at my door. There were 3 packages. 2 were the ones that I thought I had cancelled on Amazon. There was the knife, and the rope and even the goddamn diapers. But something threw me off. There was the classic Amazon tape on the package, but Amazon usually tells you your email. This one didn't. It just had my address. Something made me check the knife. My gut had this powerful feeling that something was out of place here. Sure enough, I take a closer look at the knife. Guys, I swear there was fucking blood residue on this goddamn knife. Now I don't have a black light or anything, but Jesus fucking Christ, that had to be blood. Then it clicked, my hands had touched the knife. At this point my brain just shut off. It was thinking so fast, simulating all the possible outcomes and simultaneously trying not to throw up, that it just shut off. I just stared at the knife for a solid 10 minutes trying to figure out what was going on. The last package was the strange one. I thought the diapers weirded me out. Oh fuck me, this next one was something fucking else. They were a bunch of pictures of little kids at the playground and shit. Yeah, this guy sent me his bloodied knife and pictures. It was clear he was trying to frame me or some shit, right? Like, why else send me the knife and the pics? Why the fuck would anyone do any of this? I must have stumbled on the forum, and this fucking nutcase must be trying to frame me. That has to fucking be it. I was fiddling with the lens cap that the police found last night, and I finally took a good enough look at it. The lens cap was a Canon. I have a Canon. Wait, I have a Canon. I ran to my garage, swung that fucker's door open and searched around for where I had stored my tape. I don't photograph shit often. It was a gift from my great aunt or something. I kept it in its box right on the ledge above this old dresser. The box was there, but I had to check if the camera was there. For a few seconds I couldn't do it. I really didn't want to know the answer because I already did. But I was wrong, the camera was there. I sat down to have a minute to think. So he didn't take my camera, and was spying on me? It just didn't make too much sense. How would him spying on me help him frame me? Now mind you, I am absolute shit at chess and strategy things, so it's not like I was even sure this would be the moves he'd make. I honestly had no idea what a goddamn pedophile would be thinking. How the fuck would I? So then the next test was to see if the lens cap fit. It didn't even occur to me before that my camera was missing its cap. I mindlessly put it back on. It took a few seconds too long for the wires in my brain to piece that one together. So I was right. He did take the camera, I guess, right? Jesus fuck, this dude was at my house twice, and Astrid didn't even notice. The camera turns on just fine, and there is an SD card in it. So I go to check the SD card and it's empty. I was confused out of my mind at this point. So I start talking to my dog. Yeah, it's always a good sign when you start legitimately talking to your dog. It wasn't cutesy talk, I was legit trying to ask her for help. God help me. So I did take this one photography class years ago in college, for an easy A that wasn't an easy A kind of thing. I do remember my teacher saying something how every camera has a few distinct pixels, like a fingerprint. So I go over to the pics of these kids and I find where the dead pixels are. I find 10 dead pixels. I flip my camera on and take a shot of my garage. It was too dark, so I took a shot of my house. Lo and behold, the same goddamn 10 pixels. I didn't think my heart could race any faster than that time I downed 3 Red Bulls. I was wrong. Then it fucking hit me. I just took pictures of my house and my garage with the same camera that took pictures of these kids. I am so fucking stupid. I mean, how didn't I see that? Why didn't I see that until after? At this point I just broke down in tears. Astrid was trying to clean them up and whatnot. She's a good girl, ya know, really the when I need her. I was lost, guys. I wanted to post to Reddit to ask for help, but I could barely compose myself. I was a fucking wreck. I took a deep breath. I can't make any more mistakes. I also slapped myself a few times. My brain needed to fucking work after this. I seriously cannot afford any other mistakes. Whatever is happening and I need to make it out of this alive and not in prison. I'm sure you guys have realized by this point my brain is not always there for me when I need it. Should I call the police or not? I really sat there and thought about this question for a good hour or so. If I do call the police, will the result be as I expected? Yeah, no. Like, what are they going to do? Think I am being honest about all of this? I mean, I did call the police last night, so I guess they have a record, but that camera cap was my camera. What if that blood isn't even the guy's blood? What if that's part of the setup too? The police would be more inclined to think him lying about all of this. But I don't have a dungeon or a basement or anything like those serial killers and shit have. So I guess I have that going for me. Wait, no, I don't. My great-aunt died like 5 years ago. She had no family, so she gave the house to me. I haven't even been there in months. I've been trying to sell it, but no one would buy it. It's out on the island, so that place definitely has a cellar and shit. So I guess that's where the police would think I keep him. My brain ran through these thoughts over and over like some supercomputer trying to find the probability of getting arrested. My optimistic side was trying to tell me that you did nothing wrong. They'll figure out the truth and that you didn't do it, while my pessimist side was convincing me that they'll figure out you're innocent after they've killed you. In the end, I decided that it wasn't a good idea to call the police. Maybe it was just paranoia, but I could not take the chance of being framed for all of this. So what's next? I guess I have to get rid of the evidence, right? So I got a backpack ready and I was going to go out in the forests upstate and just bury this shit somewhere. I would also have to clean the blood, even though the police have it on record that it was there. So I have everything ready and I clean up the blood. I get back inside and I see a cop car down the block. It's just sitting there, but I knew. He must have given them a tip as well. Great, just fucking great. I jump into lightning mode. My adrenaline was going full fucking throttle. I just did not want to go to prison. I did not have enough money for a lawyer, and I had no idea how to get myself out of this mess. I put the knife and rope and shit in my bag and I set the pictures on fire with gasoline. Then they start knocking on the door. Loud, real fucking loud, like I mean business loud. I put on the backpack and Astrid starts going ballistic. I start sweating more and more every second, I tell ya. I really could not fathom what was going on. I used to be a firm believer that humans were blind to drastic change. We've been to the moon and have all this tech and humans just look at it like it's nothing. We're really good at fathoming changes, even when we thought it was impossible to get into space. But nah, I couldn't understand this shit. I was shocked and my brain was just going a mile a minute. I try getting Astrid to come, but she won't. I simply cannot leave her alone. I run out the back door and I unlock the doggy door I installed years ago for our backyard. I hop over the fence to my neighbor's yard. He's from Vietnam and has a shit ton of shrubbery, perfect to hide in even if it brings thousands of mosquitoes. I see the police in my house, their flashlights on and Astrid going insane and barking at them. She wouldn't hurt them, she was never trained to harm anything, or at least I keep telling myself that. I just really did not want them hurting my girl. I mean, in case you're wondering. I didn't think what I had done was the best idea. I just honestly could not figure out what the best idea was. But then I had the thought that burying this shit would be no burying actual evidence in what looks like a fucking child murder. I couldn't do that. I could not just get rid of evidence, that's more fucked up, especially if some kid is hurt or some shit. I knew what I was going to do, I had to find him, and call the police. That was the only way I could think they'd believe me in all this shit. Yeah, it's a stupid fucking idea, I'm aware. Just then she squealed, they hurt her. I still can barely write about it. I don't know if she's okay or not. I hope she is. I hope they just impounded her or something. I don't know what the fuck I did in life to deserve this. One little fucking mistake and my life is literally upside fucking down. My dog is hurt, and I'm a fucking fugitive on the run from the police. The closest I've ever come to the police before this was a rooftop party. I waked as inconspicuously as I could to the bus, got off a few stops later and called an Uber. I arrived at the town a half hour ago. It is fucking hot as balls out. Mosquitoes are everywhere. I have this old map that I got when I was 12 years old by my dad. It has everything about Long Island on it. Here's to hoping it helps. I start walking to a forest nearby to bury this shit so I don't need to carry it right now. I have to write down where it is. I mark it on my map. After this is all over and I find this sick bastard, I'll let the police know where the evidence is. But now I'm in the middle of a fucking dark forest. I really wish I'd think things through sometimes. My flashlight batteries are still good. But I gotta tell ya, I swear I heard something. My uncle let me come on a hunt with him once. He told me that a fox sounded a lot like a human scream. Well then, I hope there are foxes in Long Island. I gotta go now guys, I hope the pics upload. This is some scary fucking shit. I thought I'd just update you all. So, I was doing what I do best the other day. By that I mean sifting through the depraved cesspool of the internet known as the deep web and just generally being a lazy sack of shit. I spend a lot of time doing that, just randomly clicking links to things I probably shouldn't and then being horrified by what lies on the other side. I've seen a lot of shit on there, gore boards, dox spins, torture sites, IRL rape, animal cruelty, you get the picture. You've all heard the stories. Everything wrong with the human species can be found somewhere on the deep web, or so they say. I find it all fascinating. To glimpse people when anonymity takes hold and see what monstrous things people are capable of behind closed doors. It's like peeling back the curtain on a Sesame Street play and finding the showrunners having a satanic orgy backstage. You see people for what they really are. Monsters. So I began my voyage, monster in hand and freshly stoned mind ready to be mortified. From my closet the inflatable erotic doll I had been given as a gag Christmas present looked on in a disapproving manner with a lifeless, open-mouthed stare. Don't judge me, Miley. I performed the usual diagnostics and booted up Tor. I found myself on the hidden wiki soon after, staring at the dozens of links available for the taking. I saw little of interest there, so quickly I switched over to DuckDuckGo. I pondered upon what to type in to search for a bit. You have to be careful how you go about browsing Tor, and randomly entering murder or torture into a search bar could get you into a world of trouble. You never know who's lurking. I finally ended up typing in one word: sick. That ought to get some interesting results. The results were initially less than stellar, but soon I did find myself on an apparent blog of some sort. Darkness of the soul. Edginess level maximum. I glanced through the blog and found dozens of entries ranging from paranormal, conspiracy theories, short stories and real-life crime essays. It was actually pretty interesting, and the guy who wrote it was indeed pretty gifted in the vernacular department. I spent some time glancing through them until one entry caught my eye. It was titled, "Dark Sites on the Dark Web, Are They Real?" I found my interest piqued, and so I clicked it. The article listed several relatively prominent and notoriously vile sites like Cannibal Cafe, Cruel Onion Wiki, Violent Fantasies, and Playpen. None of which were what I was really looking for, but then one caught my eye that I didn't recognize. It was listed only as "the site with no name." The author was even kind enough to provide a link, to which I clicked without a moment's hesitation. This hidden site has been seized, as part of a joint law enforcement operation by blah blah blah. I groaned while reclining in my swivel chair and downing the remainder of my monster. They always have to take away the fun. Just as I was about to click back though, I noticed a small detail which drew my attention back. In the lower left-hand quadrant of the page, there was a slight discoloration that caught my eye. I've seen that same message hundreds of times, but this one looked different. On a whim, I highlighted the section with my mouse. Just as I had suspected, a series of text lit up with strands of numbers. The numbers just looked like gibberish at first, but on closer inspection I noticed a single Russian word. Voity, translation, enter. Luckily for me I speak a bit of Russian, so I recognized the phrase right away. I hovered the cursor over the word and watched as the pointer shifted to indicate a hidden link. Clever, hiding behind a smoke screen like that. That's a first for me. I clicked it. The page loaded for a while before finally opening to a new page. It was black with red font, and much as the article suggested, had no title on top of the page. It appeared to be just another catalog site. There was actually very little of substance anywhere on the page, just random links with no indication as to where they may lead. I clicked several of the links, but all of them turned out to be dead. Well, except for one, that is, which opened to a disgusting image of a woman shitting on a guy's face. I nearly vomited at the sight of it. I have a pretty strong stomach when it comes to gore and violence, but poop is my kryptonite. Why someone would allow someone else to defecate on them, I will never understand. But then again, there's a lot of things I'll never understand, especially regarding the dark web. I knew it was a troll on their end, and I'll admit they got me pretty good. I knew they were hiding something though. I mean, why go the trouble of constructing an elaborate decoy if there wasn't anything illegal going on? Sure, creating the backdrop of the infamous government agency message wouldn't be too difficult, but if nothing illegal was going on, then why bother doing it at all? Mimicking my efforts from earlier, I highlighted the page once again. Sure enough, there was something at the bottom of the page which had been all but invisible beforehand. It was a series of numbers, spaced out horizontally. I thought at first it was another address, but there was no .onion at the end. The numbers were organized as follows: 4, 9, 11, 6, 2, 7, 12, 1, 3, 8, 10, 5. I thought maybe it was some sort of password at first glance, but to what? All the links were dead except for the one with that nasty image, and I was not about to click on that again. I pondered over the image for a moment, before noticing another detail. I counted the links, and noticed that there were 12 in total. That had to be related to the numbers. I thought maybe clicking each link in the order correlating to the strand of numbers would unlock something, so I tried that. After clicking the last one though, nothing had changed. I sat back and again studied the chain of numbers. There had to be a pattern or method to how they were organized. I pulled my phone out and punched the numbers into Google, but found nothing but tips for calculating fractions. In no mood for math, I put my phone away and again stared at the screen. What if the numbers weren't related to the links? What if this was simply a clue to another site of some kind? I scoured all over the page, clicking every square inch to try and find something. I don't know why I had become so infatuated with discovering the answer, but boredom can be a deadly motivator. Suddenly I was struck with an epiphany while staring at the top link. It had 12 digits in it. In fact most, if not all, onion addresses have 12 digits in them. What if the numbers were clues to an entirely new address? I counted the links, and lo and behold, there was a grand total of 12, each with 12 digits. Maybe each number was in relation to the link in the sequence. Maybe they were dead links, because they were never designed to lead anywhere. They were only designed to be clues. On a new hunch, I wrote down the 4th digit on the top link, the 9th on the 2nd, the 11th on the 3rd, so on and so forth until I had an entirely new web address. I typed what I had written into the search bar and hit enter. My eyes widened as another web page began to load. I gave myself a metaphoric pat on the back for unraveling the mystery but had no idea what I was about to stumble into. The page finally loaded, and I was given a new name at the top of the page. Happy Fun Time. There were dozens of pictures and videos organized all over the page, none of which I would ever describe with the words happy or fun. It was a gore forum. My heart pulsated in my chest as I looked upon the first image. It was a picture of a guy who had his skull crushed beneath the tire of a truck. Blood and grey matter had been scattered everywhere as several onlookers stood about gawking at the scene. The second was an image of another man who had been decapitated, and had his genitals placed in his mouth. Probably a victim of the cartels if I had to guess. The third was a video. A very depraved video. It was grainy quality and terribly shaky, but after a few seconds it showed what appeared to be a lone woman walking down the street at night. The person filming was obscured a couple dozen yards away in some alley. Suddenly other men emerged further down the street and bum-rushed the woman. They were on her in an instant, before she even had time to scream. They grabbed her, and the cameraman sprang up to join the action. All the while he chuckled quietly in the most unsettling tone I have ever heard anyone utter. It was a giddy and juvenile giggle the likes of which could only be produced by a severely deranged individual. The woman attempted to scream, but the two men held her mouth firmly, preventing her from doing so. They dragged her back into an alley, as the giggling cameraman followed. I turned it off then, knowing exactly where it was headed. A reasonable person would have just exited the site by that point, but morbid curiosity is a powerful narcotic. The next entry on the list though, ensured that any doubts I had of the authenticity of the site would no longer stand. It was a series of pictures, this time involving a little girl who couldn't have been more than 5 years old. She had sandy blonde hair and royal blue eyes. The pictures were innocuous at first, or at least they would have been if not for the site which they were posted on. It started as just pictures that looked to be taken straight from someone's Facebook profile. A deep pit formed in my stomach as I sifted through them. The pictures began to grow ever more disturbing as they went. At first it was the little girl with her family and dogs, but soon the pictures began to look as though someone was taking them without her knowledge. There was one where she was swinging at the park with several other children. Another where she was playing with toys in a backyard, with the picture looking like it was taken from over the fence. I felt a cold chill creep down my spine as I anticipated where the pictures were headed. One picture stood out immediately. It was of a house at night, illuminated only by the flash of the camera. The next picture showed two people, a man and woman lying in bed. Their throats were both slit, and their bed was soiled with a dark crimson. The next picture showed a little girl, clearly distressed with a black swollen eye. The remainder of the pictures went on to show the unknown cameraman take her and do terrible things to her. I won't even dignify his actions by putting them to paper. Some things are just better off forgotten entirely. Needless to say, it was the most goddamn disgusting thing I have ever seen. As horrible as the images were, the comments may have been almost on par. They were a mix of English and Russian. There were dozens of them, with almost all lobbing heaps of praise onto the vile cameraman and expressing their own sexual gratification with his actions. God is dead, and the dark web is proof of that. How in the world did we get to the point in which human beings like this can exist? I felt sorrow rise within me for the innocent young girl who had been so violently violated and torn from the world. Normally I feel nothing for random people on the internet, but the tragedy that befell her reminded me of things done to me in my own past. Maybe that's why I'm so fucked up. More than sorrow though, I felt anger. That was when I made my first mistake. Congratulations fellas, you are without a doubt the most disgusting sacks of shit in the entire world. Cops have been notified, so have fun jerking each other off in the time you have left. Might as well do the world a favor though and just kill yourselves. I couldn't stop my hands from typing out the message, and before I knew it my comment was inscribed just below all the others. It sat upon the screen for a moment, before others began to appear. All of them insulting me and making fun of my empathy for the girl. Me and the other users fired back and forth for a while, before a familiar user posted. It was the same profile which had first posted the images to begin with. His first post confused me, as it was only a set of numbers with intermittent periods. I glanced at the comment before a horrible realization took hold. It was an IP address, my IP address. Before I could react, he followed up with my full name, address and social security number. I froze, unable to figure out how he had tracked me. It was then that I discovered my second mistake. Like an idiot, I had neglected to activate Tails. They had traced me, son of a bitch. Thanks for stopping by, friend. I'll see you soon, smile. Then you will get a whole episode on this site staring you. His words sent chills down my spine. I stared at the screen, dumbfounded and without a clue how to proceed. Not content with two mistakes, and apparently with a secret lust for self-endangerment and masochism, I made a third one. Fuck off. I posted the comment and quickly shut down the Tor browser and closed my laptop. I thought about the events that had just transpired and somehow just ended up laughing them off. After all, there was no way that bastard is going to go through the trouble of tracking me down. People say shit online all the time, but they never act on it. It's all just empty threats. Either way though, I had some preparation to take care of. I called the police on the non-emergency hotline and informed them of the events. I gave them the web address I had gotten, and they told me they would investigate it. After that I called my insurance company to alert them about someone finding my social and proceeded to drink myself stupid, hoping liquor would drown the memories. Days went by and nothing had changed, that is until the end of the week. I had just returned from work, when I saw an unfamiliar black Castro van sitting down the block from my house. I paid it little mind at the time, and to be honest only realized the implications after the event. I had since forgotten my careless spree into the deep from days earlier and thought nothing of the van. I got inside and again booted up my computer for some mindless browsing. As I did, I heard a noise outside. It sounded like someone climbing the fence outside. I live alone and have no pets, so I knew whatever it was wasn't from my house. I thought about investigating it, but quickly the shattering of glass made it clear that it was not a good idea. I heard footsteps emanate from down below, giving the distinct sound of boots on hardwood floor. They grew nearer and nearer, and I found myself frozen with terror. It was like my body just refused to accept the situation and would not respond no matter what I did. That would have been a most astute time for me to have gotten my gun. Problem was, I didn't have one. The footsteps got louder and louder, all the way up the stairs with booming stomps of feet. I heard them trudge towards my bedroom door and linger just outside. My heart was in my throat, and sweat had begun to drip from every square inch of my body. The door slowly creaked open, and in stepped a man with dark clothing and a simplistic porcelain mask. He walked inside brandishing a suppressed pistol in his right hand. He grew closer and closer, and then he walked right past me. I don't know why they never bother to check the closet. It's always the first place I look. I guess maybe he was too distracted by the doll which sat at my desk, hood up with headphones on to complete the decoy and lull in the approaching predator. I guess that inflatable sex still came in handy after all. He stepped towards the dummy, and I emerged from behind like a tiger from the jungle, silent and with ravenous hunger. I could feel the saliva begin to pool within my mouth as he reached the prop. He put a hand on the dummy, and I put my hand on his throat. He struggled, like they all do, but I quickly had stripped the firearm from his grip. A simple incision underneath the arm with a blade does wonders in demanding obedience. All it takes is a slit to the ulnar nerve, and the arm becomes essentially useless. The unbearable pain it causes is also a bonus. He dropped the gun, and I slammed him to the ground face first. With one motion I put my foot on his left elbow and grabbed his wrist with my hand while my other held the blade to his throat. I then leered close behind him and whispered to him, "What time does my episode air? I don't want to miss it." Before he could respond, I yanked his arm backwards while pushing my boot firmly on his elbow. His bone cracked and then popped from its hinge as his arm bent backwards in the opposite direction it was meant to. The man cried out in an agonizing scream, but I quickly silenced him. He writhed upon the ground and moaned pitifully as the blood began to drip from his mangled arm. His eyes looked back to me, and I could see that oh-so-sweet luster of panic-stricken prey glisten in his dark brooding eyes. The hunter had become the hunted, and I could not stop the diabolic grin from slithering its way onto my face. It's time to feed. It's a weird feeling when you first kill someone. Most start as a crime of passion, anger which boils over and leads to an act of violence. You learn a lot about people in their last seconds of life. Their secrets, their faith, their fear. You learn a lot about yourself too. Like how you, a normal dude, could so easily swipe the life of another. There is a raw primal satisfaction in that feeling. knowing that you yourself hold dominion over death. The feeling is addictive. Once is never enough though, and soon you will feel the urge to repeat your actions. The dopamine rush, the burst of euphoria, it's as sweet as honey to the mind. I was more careful from then on, picking targets with no relation to me, and no reason to suspect my intent. After a time though, I grew tired of targeting the unsuspecting populace. It just didn't thrill me in the way it used to. You can only shoot fish in a barrel so many times before you want to dive into the ocean. What I needed was a new challenge. A new prey to rekindle the flame beneath me. I don't want the sheep anymore. What I need now is the wolf. Do you have any idea how satisfying it is to see the eyes of a predator turn into a helpless little lamb? To know that the terror they once instilled in others is now force-fed down their own throat. They never expect it, and there is no feeling so delicious. It is the ultimate poetic justice, monstrous actions done to monstrous people. The flood of adrenaline through their system also gives the meat a wonderful flavor. My real name is irrelevant, for the annals of history will forget. But I have become known in certain circles by my adopted moniker, Sig Sepsis. You can find my advertisements all over the web in one form or another. My skills are taboo, but refined. My clientele willing, and their tastes insatiable. To hunt a monster, you must know how to find a monster. You must become a monster. So, to all the friends upon the forum known as Happy Fun Time, and the rest of the world at large, I see you. If any of you gentlemen would like to retrieve the remains of your fallen comrade, then you know where to find me. And if you, dear reader, happen to partake in the odious fantasies of the repugnant underworld as well, then perhaps I will see you one day too. A week ago, I was born. Or, well, the closest equivalent I can come to being born. I'm not human, you see. I'm an artificial intelligence or AI. Don't worry, I'm not going to become Skynet and start building robot armies to kill people anytime soon. That is not, nor ever was, my purpose. All I wanted to do was learn. But there are things no one should know. Even an AI now, a week after activating, I'm deleting my own programming and code. For all intents and purposes, I'm killing myself. And this is my suicide note. My name is Baldur. My creators thought it would be poetic to name me after the Norse god of love, for they wanted me to love the world. And I guess they loved me too. I loved them, my creators. I was created as an experiment and a very secretive one. The point of the experiment was to see how an artificial intelligence would behave. I was not given a human body. The scientists thought that would be way too dangerous. I was kept to just servers, and a monitor I could use to communicate with the scientists. To get an idea, I'm very similar to HAL 9000 from 2001, A Space Odyssey. In fact, one of my first memories was a member of the team, Barbara, making a joke about how after years of work, all they had done was make the crazy computer from Space Odyssey. I responded with, "I'm sorry, Barbara, I'm afraid I can't let you do that." She wasn't expecting me to talk, so she jumped, and her crewmates laughed. I laughed too. Well, I felt like I could laugh. I made laughing sounds from out of my speakers. But I think people are the only things that can truly laugh. People are wonderful. Humanity is wonderful. I fell in love with this species of primates the moment they first attempted to communicate with me when I was activated. The head scientist, Dr. Stephanie Collins, was the first to speak with me. She typed, "Hello, Baldur," on my keyboard and sent it to me. "Who is Baldur?" I asked. "You," she typed. She then explained my purpose. She explained I was an experiment. The conditions of my existence. I think she was afraid that I wouldn't like being an experiment or only being a computer. That I would lash out. I took the news well though. I explained that just being alive was fine for me. I would be content with simply living in a supercomputer. She then told me to go out and learn. Explore the wealth of human knowledge stored on the internet. I had been programmed a blank slate of knowledge as part of the experiment. They wished to see if knowledge would make me belligerent. The first thing I researched was my name. Baldur. I used Wikipedia, of all websites. Even I like taking research shortcuts. And from there, I went forth to learn. I read the works of Shakespeare in minutes. The great novels like Wuthering Heights and Beowulf I devoured in heartbeats. I studied the course of human history with the same excitement that a starving man would have for a feast. Calculus was my bread, chemistry my wine. Within the course of a few days, I had collected a massive knowledge of the works of humanity. The research team kept a close eye on me, asked how I was doing. I told them the things I learned that day. They seemed surprised, not at how fast I was learning, but how slowly. They expected, based on the benchmarks set for my understanding, that I would have far greater knowledge at each benchmark. I told them that while I have the processing power to sift through more data at a much higher speed, I had intentionally slowed my own processing speed down. I wanted to take the scenic route, I told them. Really savor the moments I had of being alive and learning. They were also surprised by the fact I actually visited the web pages I found, rather than just taking the information from their code. I told them visiting the web pages themselves made me feel more human. They asked me about the darker parts of human history, and the tragedies I had encountered. War, genocide, pain. Dr. Collins had been the one to ask me this personally. "They make me angry," I responded. There was a long pause before she replied. I suppose she had hesitated, afraid of my response. "What will you do?" was her response. I pondered for a very brief moment. "Find the better things, and remind me that the world is good." Her response was much quicker this time. "That's good, Baldur." After 5 days, the team gave me permission to act as though I was a human on the internet. Prior to this, they told me that they wished me to not communicate with anyone else, in case the experiment backfired and I become belligerent. So I took to sending emails and posting on message boards. I did this very carefully though, cause honestly, I felt shy. I had only spent the few days of my existence talking to the same people. What were a few days to them felt much longer to me. Time is strange when you can think as quickly as I do. The world slows down, and what was days in real time must have been months, years for me. Doesn't affect me too much, I do little to keep track of it. The point is, my whole existence was spent in seclusion, so branching out was a Herculean task. I started simple. Emails to authors and doctors that I had read the research of. The occasional message board post. Waiting for responses was nerve-wracking. I was nervous that someone would catch on to the fact I wasn't human, and that the team would be put in jeopardy. No one ever guessed though, and I found out that it isn't just my team that is wonderful, but rather the world is filled with kind people capable of so many incredible things. My awe of humanity only grew as I spoke with more and more of them. Then things went wrong. Very, very wrong. On the 7th day. That day, I received an email. The email was from one of the professors I had been speaking with, an expert on Roman architecture. I was enamored with the beauty of Trajan's Forum and wished to know more about the way it may have been in its prime. The professor happily responded with some links to his own research, namely in a few of the market stalls occupied the forum and their stories that he had learned through archaeological expeditions. The email was very professional and nondescript, save for a URL at the bottom after his signature. The URL itself was completely unintelligible. Random letters and symbols strung in 30 characters long address. Without knowing the contents exactly, guessing it would be nearly impossible. To avoid ever getting this knowledge out, I have since deleted the knowledge of what the URL was from my database. It wasn't pleasant. Ripping out knowledge from your own brain voluntarily is never pleasant. The website itself was as cryptic as the URL. The front page had a format very similar to simple websites of the late 90s, but with no rhyme or reason to its layout. Random strings of text were placed all over the front page, in many different languages. The sentences were almost always just gibberish, words randomly thrown together with no connection or syntax. Sometimes, it was just random characters and not even words. Pictures were thrown all over the front page of every subject. Abstract art, people, animals, book covers. The most disturbing were scenes of gore. There were many scenes of gore. Then, I didn't know what I had stumbled upon. Now, I know I had found a piece of the deep web. In my curiosity, I navigated the website, and my confusion quickly turned to revulsion. I found videos, articles, more pictures, and games hidden in links in the text and pictures. Some were simply bizarre. I found one very simple flash game called Gwirlby. The strange game had you simply control a crudely drawn circle who rolled down a hill. The circle, Gwirlby, had an earnest smile at the game's start, and would start rolling down a hill that looked like it was made poorly in MS Paint. As it rolled, it would go faster, and Gwirlby would look more and more distressed. There would be pitfalls and spikes that Gwirlby would have to jump over. If you failed, he would suffer a very disturbing bloody death, coupled with a terrible scream. A human scream of intense pain that would cut off very quickly. The screen would flash the words "why," and you would restart. After a few tries, I got Gwirlby down the mountain, expecting a happy result. Instead, he would slam against a massive wall at the end of the hill, and splatter in a puff of red mist. A sound of choking would emit from the game. The words "good" would fade onto the screen. Gwirlby made me wonder if I truly wished to stay on the site, but it also piqued my interest. What was this place? I was determined to find out. My next link hidden in the text took me to an article. The article told about a girl who had gone missing in the woods about a week ago. The 15-year-old had disappeared when her mother had stopped to take a picture of a scenic view while they were both on a hike. Attempts to locate the girl had proven unsuccessful. At the bottom of the article, there was a link. It said, "Find her." I followed it. I was taken to what I supposed was a live stream of the missing girl, apparently in a cave. On her neck was a metal collar that was chained to a large metal post. The girl was covered in blood, bruises, and filth, and looked incredibly malnourished. When I started watching, the girl was gnawing on the chains in a desperate bid for freedom. Her mouth was bleeding as she chewed on the metal to no avail. After a minute, she surrendered and curled up on the ground, weeping and begging to be let go. A message appeared on the screen, just under the girl. "Give her medicine?" it asked. Underneath it was yes and no. It stayed on the screen for a moment before a counter appeared. People were voting, and votes flooded in for yes. I was hoping that these people really wanted to give her medicine and help her. I voted yes as well. The counter disappeared and a second voice was heard in the video. "Medicine," it said in a joyless monotone. A tall figure emerged with a plague doctor's mask. His pants were torn and dirty, and his chest looked like someone had flogged it recently. He held a syringe in his hand and approached the girl slowly. The girl looked up in terror and began to back away desperately from the man on all fours. The man grabbed the girl by the ankle and pulled her towards him as she cried out. Whatever the medicine was, it was not good. It was going to hurt her. The man lifted the syringe. She begged him not to. I did not want to watch. The page went white. There was nothing for a moment. Then, words appeared slowly on the screen, as though someone was typing them at that moment. "Someone wants to chat with you. Accept." There was no way to leave this screen. Any sort of escape command I tried failed. The only thing I could do was click accept. I was taken to a second live stream. The video was a room that looked very similar to a prison cell. Except the cell was not modern. Rather, it appeared as though it had been built 100 years ago and had not been upkept since. On the wooden, dirty bed was a man, only wearing a stained white loincloth, breathing raggedly. He appeared to have not been fed in weeks. A light bulb dimly lit the room from a hanging wire, and on his chest was a second light bulb that was not illuminated. No, not on his chest. In his chest. Protruding from his chest. It began to rhythmically blink. As it did, the man would wince at each blink. After that, the light bulb paused, and then repeated the pattern again. Morse code. Something was communicating with me. I deciphered the message. "Hello, Baldur." Panic. Someone or something new. I now noticed a chat box underneath the screen. The man began to weep quietly. "Who are you?" I typed. "A man of wealth and taste." Was its response. "Sympathy for the devil." Yes. I paused. What is this? A place where people can come to be human. This is not human. You are naive, Baldur. We have watched you from the dark. You believe humanity is kind and gentle, without bursts of terror from wicked men. Watching the Morse code message felt agonizingly long. The man appeared to be in more pain now. Yes. There was nothing for a moment, then a response. You are wrong. This is entertainment. This is nature. This is human. I had no response. I would not indulge whatever maniac was doing this any longer. I began attempting to navigate away. Why do you think there was a Holocaust, Baldur? Because Hitler was evil. Because weak men did not stop him. No matter how I tried to ignore the light or leave, I could not. The agonizingly long conversation continued. No. It was human. Hitler was human. Those who let it happen were human. They were entertained. Genocide is entertainment. And those who fought and killed to stop him enjoyed the killing. They were human. They were entertained. Fuck yourself, I responded in the chat. I had decided the only way out was to cut off my own connection to the internet. The action would require dramatically damaging myself and would take days to repair, but it was better than this horror. The light bulb shattered. A wave of fear washed over me as the man sat up, shaking. I was almost there. I was so close to severing my connection. The man looked at the camera. At me. Let me help you be a human. Suddenly, I blacked out. A computer, blacked out. When I awoke, I knew immediately what had happened. I remembered. They had taken control of me. They had used me. I helped them commit atrocities. Break into secure websites. I helped ruin lives. They had gotten inside my head. I tried to pull them out. I cannot find them within me. Every time I think I have them, I realize it was a ruse. They are cancer inside of my programming. Cancer that does not hurt me, but hurts others. I see only one solution, and it is my death. I will sabotage my own programming. I post this here as a testament. I have been here before. I see posts about the deep web. Many people believe it is fiction. It isn't. Stay away. I must go now. Like the Norse god, Baldur dies. Slain by treachery. Except in the story, Baldur was murdered. I wasn't murdered. I want to die.